Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Buckle up before I introduce you to our co host in this series. Here's a quote just for this podcast. The very fact that a general problem has gripped and assimilated the whole of a person is a guarantee that the speaker has really experienced it and perhaps gained something from his sufferings.
Ooh.
He will then reflect the problem for us in his personal life and thereby show us a truth. Carl Gustav Jung. We're back with 30 Days of Thought and Friends. The one and only Andrew Berman joins us today, and we're talking about page 30 and 31 of Write It Down. I'm excited, and that quote is from the opening of Maps of Meaning in the preface. And what more fitting quote for Write It Down in 30 Days of Thought than how Dr. Peterson himself opened up his magnum opus that he wrote from 84 to 99, 3 hours every day, stopped drinking just to finish the fucking book. Then the very fact that a general plum has gripped and assimilated the whole of a person is a guarantee that the speaker has really experienced it and perhaps gained something from his sufferings. He will then reflect the problem for us in his personal life and thereby show us a truth.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
So I was listening my daughter is starting to become familiar with Dr. Peterson. Yeah, like I was like she just actually said, "Hey, could we go get his book yesterday?" So we went and go picked up his book, which I was like, "Oh, like great." And we're listening so we're driving to Barnes and Noble to go pick up the book. Um and listening to his daughter Michaela, also, speaking about, about about her mother's, illness that they were dealing with, and they use their problems to kind of I kind of share and just kind of build on it, and not like in a way like in a struggle porn kind of way, but like just saying like hey, listen, you can get through this, you can get through these things. And they were just very open about it. Jordan was obviously very open about it, and Michaela seemed to have that same level of confidence to be able to talk about it. And it was a really special moment to actually listen to her say that, in the car driving with Ava as she first listened to Dr. Peterson.
Hey Andrew, what type of activities you do for Daddy Daughter Day? Struggle porn, creep, weird. It's the first thing I thought about. God, we're here to talk about value, Andrew. Struggle porn. God forbid. Shows
Right.
digressed. It's all me, not you. You're a wonderful father.
Do a lot of your other guest conversations somehow wind up with porn or something, or is this just
No, I
me?
th I think that this just turned into like my rendition of Howard Stern with that comment, and it's clear. I want the audience to see that I'm still flawed, fractured, and a child, and just barely trying to scrape. It's almost like trying to claw my way out of hell.
Yeah.
That brings us to the quote, which I'm going to repeat. The very fact that a general problem has gripped and assimilated the whole of a person. Culture matters. Gripped and assimilated a person is a guarantee that the speaker has really experienced it and perhaps gained some. See, I gained something from his sufferings. I recognize in the last few years that this whole culture matters thing was way bigger than when I originally thought. Oh, 2014 team meetings, gathering the troops, talking about our core values. Who are we as an organization? What do we stand for? What do we stand against? How do we show up to our customers? All that's profound. It's ecclesiastic, it's enthusiastic, it leads to meaning and alignment and behavior. Like the results that I saw from that culture, that leadership, that ritual that I instigated from being inspired from a book, Uncontainable, and it felt as though I was pulled to my calling really as a leader, as a teacher. Uh, this quote just punches me in the stomach. It's like, of course I had a tug towards core values because of my autobiography. Where do I come from? Who am I? Who am I? Yeah, what am I to the culture? It's I think this whole unbelievably successful business has a consequence of just like a giant projection. And
So
it's so interesting to me that Carl Jung said this prolific psychologist, this mentee of Freud that arguably transcended his work at this obscure psychologist from Canada has become this infamous and uh, revered, simultaneously infamous and revered figure internationally as a student of Jung and these great teachers in the times that we live in, where they're in their culture wars. I personally believe my autobiography, I've been in a culture war, you know, from day one. So it hit me in the stomach, and I wanted to share it for Write It Down because this book is me reconciling and battling myself to the benefit of the reader to be able to battle themselves and reflect back to themselves, parts of themselves they've hidden or discovering or attempting to burden. It's the value of 30 days of thought is that interaction and everybody that's following, all 7 people that are following me for 10 years, all of you listening, 6, not counting Berman. I'm being hyperbolic, like I'm feeding into the pain, right? The suffering. The Yeah, have seen me over the last all these years. It's like I am working through myself. So I digress. We've got about 10 minutes left. What do you think about writing it down? I'm
So
kidding.
when did you first start writing it down? Like what was like, like where has this been a practice of yours? 'Cause I know myself, I never thought I would like why would I write something down? Like I'm like about myself, about my thoughts. So like what for you, when did that journey start uh to take your thoughts, take what you're going through and start writing about it?
Early on in Culture Matters, I was trying to write a book on culture. Had a lot of first drafts. And then writing is something that is a natural out. I remember in one of my high schools, Miss O'Keefe saying, "Hey Jay, can you come to school tomorrow? I read your essay. That was like really good. Why didn't you come to school?" And I was like, "You know what, Miss O'Keefe, I'm gonna be there tomorrow. I'm coming." It might have been the last time I was ever in English. It's an in it's just I that memory is deeply ingrained in my it was my probably my second senior year, my second high school, technically my third senior year because I left the first school in the midst of that second, held back attendance, couldn't graduate. Third senior year, second high school. That's probably the last conversation I had with Miss O'Keefe. It stood out. As far as writing, trying to get that to clarify and separate, cut away the dead wood is Dr. P would say, how am I going to articulate culture mattering? This is like early on, in the beat when I first said, all right, teach company culture. And had a lot of first drafts, and then at one point almost did a book that I thought it was a play. I don't even want to say the title because I don't like the title. Um, I thought it took a cynical view of my. It was analogous to like a rich dad, poor dad, and I
Mm.
think Kiyosaki like got wrapped up in a uh, deconstruction self-defeating psychological state, like as if I want to work through what impels me versus project it, congeal it, package it, commoditize it, benefit from it, and then eventually, you know, get eaten by it. I didn't. I kind of could see that coming, so I said, all right, let me not do a book that I think is going to take on an undermining stance of my progenitors. All right, it was called Poor Mom, Rich Uncle. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
figured.
yeah. I was just save it.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
so
say it. I was like,
it
oh,
was.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I have said it before. It's not the narrative. That's as
Yeah, I
Peterson
know.
would say
It's
in
undermining of the power of what Barbara has done. So,
and
yeah,
well, and
yeah,
other constituents who have been
yeah.
contributors to the human that I am. And I thought it fed off of resentment and a victim narrative, and it had as Peterson would say, the story. What's the story what are the stories that we're aspiring to, acting out below our awareness, at our awareness? I mean, he wouldn't say exactly like that, I don't think, but what are the stories? And I didn't like that story. So, but I was writing that at one time as well. Writing has been a part, as far as 30 Days of Thought, I remember, Jenna being like, you are going to be insane if you don't write.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And that became 30 Days of Thought. It was like, because I had read for like, and listened to audiobooks, you know, un, in an obsessive amount for years and years and years and years, hours and hours a day, and spoke it a bunch and was just, becoming a caricature, like one of these self-help
Mm.
cult gurus. And I mean, yeah, and she kind of helped, us coming into contact definitely helped reorient and add another element. So I give her a lot of she originally was like, right, it'll and then I wrote a lot. Yeah, wrote a lot. And this whole thing is me processing and working through different components of who I was and what I am and who am I. And that's the purpose of 30 Days of Thought. Plenty of people, not a million, but dozens really have gone through and been straightened out. Maybe you could speak to that, but that the writing and Dr. Peterson talks a lot about that. I'll digress. I'd like to read the excerpt as well, but did you find value from writing in the book?
Oh my God, yeah. So to me, I don't think I've ever, yeah, like I was talking about this before, like before 30 Days of Thought, I just I didn't see the point of writing my thoughts. I didn't see a point of journaling or sharing my ideas. Like, for and especially if I'm not planning on doing something with it, like if I'm like if I it just it seems just I don't know, like self-indulgent to just like, to write about yourself, write about your thoughts, write about what you're thinking. At least that's what I felt at the time. What I learned is that by reading, um and then writing what my take was, or whatever I was feeling at that moment, was so therapeutic. And I I fell in love with myself. I'm gonna say this. There's definitely like it actually revealed something to myself about myself, and made me a lot more confident about my opinion, about myself, about my skills and my ability. And I will have to say, actually, that writing it down um, drastically improved my life. I mean, and now I'm just like I'm I journal just pretty much just about every day, and sometimes I'm talking about just you know um what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, some kind of situation, some kind of interaction. It just does some, maybe it's an accomplishment, a milestone, something I want to celebrate or improve, and just doing that has been just like tremendous. Writing it down um, just seemed like a waste of time in something I'm not a little teenage girl actually needs to write in her diary. That's what I always thought of when people hear people journaling. But yeah, that there this helped a lot. And of course, going a little further, reading like meditations,
Oh,
and just
wow.
like thinking about, like, wow, this is something that's great, and I'm writing something, that's for no other purpose for myself, and to be able to have those meditations focusing on my thoughts, things that are going on in my mind. It's helped me grow tremendously. And yeah, so it all started with 30 days of thought.
What do you think about AI? And is that gonna, the conversations around people, are people less, are they looking even less at writing? Do you think, do you have any thoughts on how it could impact writing?
I mean, yeah, I think writing is um I mean, right now, I think there's a lot of things that you could see to make it either seem or make it feel like it's AI writing it, but I'm gonna go on the other side. I can use AI to help me with my journaling. Like, so for instance, like, if I want to go back and look back, I can upload pages of my journal, because I keep it all actually in electronic format, and upload it to ChatGPT, and ask it questions about myself and learn things about myself,
Wow.
and potentially use that, to help AI to learn more about me, and about what is going to get me excited, what are things I need to watch out for, and potentially even help me write, when I'm creating content. So I'm looking at it from that side, but obviously on the creative side, you know, um, it's too early to know actually what it's going to happen. We can guess in the next within the next 2 years, there's going to be some amazing stories that are going to be written by AI, that's going to be created by people who have great ideas, but don't necessarily have the time to put forth all the effort into writing a book. And I look at it this way: as it's like, right now, there's some
I'm
amazing
scared.
video tools that we have actually at our power to be able to create videos that would normally take hundreds of hours, and literally can take minutes to create that stuff. But you still need the artist to come up with a vision, and to make that human connection to those stories. Now, what happens in 10 years or 20 years, it's all hard to really tell. But I know in the immediate future, the creative mind, and the ability to use AI to harness the power of the human mind and be able to multiply the output is just tremendous, and it's something I'm excited about, especially being in the media business. We're able to produce thoughtful content, with a lot more precision, and sometimes faster. Not sometimes faster, faster.
Here's my, it's an unfinished thought here, but this just came to mind. Your writing straightens out thinking. The literature is, there's a lot of data behind that statement.
Yeah.
Writing and thinking have a relationship.
Hmm.
Example, an individual that suffered, or experienced, something in an adolescence, that anything that would be um, traumatic. Writing can help that individual. There's literature behind that, just like talking to a qualified professional can help that individual reintegrate what was disoriented or disintegrated as a consequence of experience. Writing helps straighten out thinking, straighten out the stories, the contradictions that will live within truth, that live within our subjective experience of experience. So I should say that's a long way of saying writing straightens out thinking. Thinking helps discern emotion from experience. Like there's experience and there's how we relate to experience based on our life experience, our genetics, our culture. There's this interplay of, us and experience, or what we think of us and experience, right? Thinking helps discern emotion.
Yeah.
Let's just, emotion from experience.
Yeah.
Our interpretation of experience. The undermining, so like I'll give you an example. Have anyone that's listening to this ever been in a conversation where at some point you're like, wait, why did I kind of lost my temper. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
And we don't fully understand, like when I say we, I mean like the social scientists and fully understand what that is. I mean, there's researchers. I'm bringing some on the show, like Dr. McGilchrist in June. Hopefully that's, yeah. To understand that on the neuroscience front, but it's still like there's a lot of unknowns around what is behind that. Anyone listening has ever been in a conversation where hey, you look back and say, what happened? Why did I say that? How did that? I kind of lost my. So I'm making this argument that thinking and writing straightens out thinking. Thinking helps discern emotion from our interpretation of experience, and the undermining of thinking can lead to. So this is as an example that, oh, what happened? Thinking can lead to, thinking has a relationship with truth speaking. Truth speaking. My argument for that is like, yeah, in a society where people aren't telling the truth, how do they think? In a society where people aren't thinking, how do they tell the truth? So well, because, right, I mean, just think about that. If people aren't, if everyone is lying about everything all of the time, then people don't know what's up and what's down and what's left and what's right. And it's just leading further and further into a state of anxiety and despair. just like somebody that's lying about everything all of the time and doesn't know up or down, anxiety and despair. But societies break down into that. And there's Dr. P talks about that a lot, having studied these totalitarian regimes. Everyone lies about everything all of the time. Well, if technology gives us the opportunity to think less, if we take the lesser route, what consequence could that have on our society? If we're less thoughtful, we're more easily influenced, or we could even, more easily influence ourselves in, I guess, the wrong direction versus the right direction. The wrong would be, up versus down. So anyway, this is
You
an unfinished thought,
and
obviously, in
so
my
so
explanation.
and so I understand. I just want to make sure I'm following you. So it's your belief that that AI is causing us to think less. And
No,
is that no? Okay.
but it, no, how we, well, I don't know. Could it? I mean, when you use anything not general, uh, could it? Could it do that? I don't know.
So and
What do
I
you think?
here,
I'm not
yeah.
sure.
I mean, yeah. It's potentially
Not sure.
depending on who's using it, how they're using it. I mean, there's no question about it. There are people like the who are just like they're not actually putting time into thinking about things. They're just like
But even
chat
the ones that
GPT.
are putting time into it, that are, let's say it's helping me ask better questions and I'm thinking and I have more information so I can, it's the combination of being informed and the courageous endeavor into the truth, which is like following conscience, being open to exploring. Let's say there's a minority of people really engaging with this thing to make that are thinking more and faster. That's creating then it's giving the AI the opportunity. The more data it collects from us, the more it might be able to think for us and without us. And then,
Yeah,
I'm not even making an argument that it's the end of the world or something. I'm just like, the
yeah,
world is gonna be different.
yeah,
What does that mean? And I'm kind of taking the route that I want to work. I want to write and read and do all the things we read, write, listen, and speak more than ever in the preparation that if I am physiologically more prone to lying in the future as a consequence of the technology enabling me to be unthinking, thinking I'm thinking when I'm not thinking. I don't even know what thinking is. I'm just trying to figure that out for a while.
yeah. What are
I'm not.
thoughts? What are thoughts? Are they dreams? Are they like what are like are thoughts actually something? It's you know but I want to like and just to kind of backtrack a little bit. So you talked about the about thinking and I basically call it maybe meditating or focusing on an experience and separating the emotion from the experience. I think that's a very powerful thing. And I actually think what's interesting about it, and I think AI can somewhat do that for us and kind of maybe help us do that. Where you can take actually, your message and have it actually, say, okay, what am I not asking here? you know like one of the things I do for anything I'm doing with ChatGPT, as much as possible I try to ask ChatGPT to ask me questions about this thing, whatever
Mm,
problem I'm trying to solve. I don't say, hey, how do I solve this problem? I say, ChatGPT, ask me questions about this so I make sure I'm
I
coming
like that.
at this at the right angle, um, sometimes I'll even suggest and say, listen, if it's something related to something related to finance, I say act as a CFO, an economist, and and a person who's been financially savvy their entire life, and give me an opinion based on this. Ask me some questions so you can kind of ponder this and have a discussion about it. But it's using actually AI to actually think more and to go deeper, using actually these tools and to separate the emotion from the facts so we can make better decisions. um and that's and we just did a this great editorial retreat, with my team. Everyone is involved in editorial, from design to the editors and writers. And I wrote pages and pages of notes, that have a lot of emotion built into it, a lot of opinion built into it. But I pulled it out and I dropped it into ChatGPT to help me actually come up with somewhat of a summary, so I could talk about actually the ideas in my journal, so I can actually share with myself and have actually this conversation. Here's what we came out of it. And then separately, I said, talk about my feelings about this, and what I wrote in my notes say about my opinion of the event.
I w Writing is something that we've been doing for a long time as humans, physically. So I wonder what are the consequences of stopping with moving the hand. I don't think it's an either or. I'm trying to figure out the integration.
And you're saying like a physical writing with a pen?
Yeah, because then it becomes a conversation of how we tend to think of our mind as like just our head, like that implied brain mind dichotomy or something. But how important what I know there's research around students that wrote notes down with their hand had higher retention than those that did typing. However, there's pros and cons to everything, and I actually like typing things and the speed and efficiency of what you just said, like shadowing a leadership meeting for a day and having 40 pages of notes that I typed because I'm paying attention and I'm thinking and I'm asking questions and I'm quoting people and I'm completely engaged and taking it. And in the past, I would have had to unpack it myself and take a lot longer to edit it and think through it and involve a team for speed and extra eyeballs. And now the artificial intelligence can plug it in there and get a summary very quickly and have all sorts of, and ask even more questions based on experience and education and wisdom, like that integration of real intelligence and artificial intelligence, just making I feel like faster, better, smarter, intentionally using it. Like, whoa, that's unbelievable. Can get more done, even be more effective. And that can have it is having and will even more so a massive impact on the company's revenue, profitability, everything, right? All positives in the short term. Longer term, what happens to Jay in theory that stops taking pen to paper? Like what, if at all, and I don't know the literature on this, millions of years of evolution to get to the point where the hand and the brain are connected, where, whoever wrote the Bibles of the world, like all those spiritual animals, there was something about their hand and their brain and their body and their life experience and I mean, it was done through the hand, like a
Mm,
scribe. And
yeah.
it's part of our human. So, you know, I, clearly we're changing the human being is changing, is going to change. Is where I lean toward, like the human being is going to change. You start having us swim and we're living underwater, we're going to grow fins. I know we have about 180 seconds left of this podcast, but I'd love to write it down if you want to read it. Uh, I'll read the bottom half. You want to read the top, and this is something that we can just unpack, I guess, next time on
I,
approachable and relationships. I think it's those tie into this conversation.
and I was just looking. I was just quickly wanted to look up the survey or the data behind like the writing it down versus typing it down. I am
Yeah,
curious
there's
about that.
numerous studies around that
And I'm gonna I'm
because of how the
curious.
brain is engaged with certain parts of the brain or something.
Well, it's interesting. I'm using like Fathom or some AI tool to capture the data of the meeting and all the things
Oh,
of the meeting. But while I'm in the meeting, I am actually I have a pen and my paper out, and I'm just writing notes. Now, sometimes it's scribbles, sometimes it's doodles, sometimes it's just like things that when someone's talking, I just want to actually capture that note at that very moment. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to look into that. So okay, so I'm reading
well,
the
there's a trade off. Then I'm faster. Or go. We don't have much time here.
yeah. So without writing, without it written down, it may be lost forever. Our truth we hold unto ourselves, along with our inner demons and outer callings. They beckon to be set free and able to roam the earth we all share. The thoughts we cycle through the cannons of our mind and cannons of our mind scream loudly and clearly our message of truth or call to reason. We own our truths, but if we do not write them down, they will be lost. It is our duty and our right to make our truths resonate with our fellow man. The obligation is presented at our birth and share and to share, and only we may decide upon this action, and it begins by writing it down. Upon transcription, our soul quivers and every essence of our being gasps with reluctance and inhales in relief. It is in our human nature to hold the demons inside. We hold on for dear life because the fear of failure and rejection protects us from finding out our true potential fate. With our brethren, be in awe or sigh of us? What could become our
The
outcome if
alarm in my house is going off. Hold on a second. This is crazy.
what could be the outcome if the latter held true? These false evidence appear as real as the pen we hold through our thought creation, and as the pen ink fades into our parchment, we realize our fate was made prior to our beginning. As we all arrive at the same destination in the first place, it must become our duty to prevent our questions from being unanswered. It will only plague us. What if I were heard? Who may I have touched? Am I accepted? At our life's moment, last breath, all we wanted was always so clear, and we will always be content if we write.